Welcome back to the video, everybody. And so today I'm just going to be going over my plan currently for competing. So competing on the 26th of September. Wonder what that is. Can I help you? Go on then. Welcome back to the video, everybody, and as you've just seen, I am no longer competing. The reason for that is basically Josh wanted me to see when I was cutting down how much muscle I would have, and I was being very optimistic, thinking I definitely had enough muscle, I can definitely do a competition, and he just said that I'm basically not big enough and that I'd be much better off going into an off season now and just packing on some muscle, and that's definitely what I need. So that's the whole point of getting a coach. Like, he's a future IFBB pro, so I'm going to go with what he says. Obviously he has a lot more experience in this field than I do, so yeah, a bit disappointed. Obviously wanted to compete, but you know what, we'll go with what the boss man says. So anyway, the topic of this video now, we are going to be talking about calories and macros. So it's a question I get a lot actually from a few people, basically asking, I want to put on muscle, how much calories should I be eating? Or, oh, I want to lose a bit of weight, and how much calories should I be eating? So I'm just going to basically tell you a few ways that you can actually calculate those calories. So the first one, which is the one that I'd say most people do, is just a BMR calculator, a basal metabolic rate. Basal metabolic rate is basically if you were sitting down here doing nothing and how much calories your body would burn, like not even breathing, but literally just sitting here. And so basically when doing these calculators, you're just inputting your age, sex, height and weight, and they're very generic. Like, it's not going to be specifically unique to you. So that's the issue. Like, it'll pump out a number and it'll say, oh, if you are if you exercise moderately, or if you're high intensity, or if very little. So there's that. Another way of doing it, which is the way a lot of coaches actually do it, is about 14 to 16 calories per pound of body weight. So for example, if you're 160 pounds, times that by, we'll just go ballpark, we'll go say 15, we'll go in the middle. So that means 2,400 calories. So you're going to eat that for about a week, see what happens with your body weight. You're going to be doing the exact same thing you're doing every week in, week out. You're not going to change anything for this week. You're going to see what happens to your weight. Whether your weight goes up, then obviously you're in a calorie surplus. If your weight goes down, then you're in a calorie deficit. If your weight stays the same, then you're at your maintenance calories. And depending on what your goal is, you're obviously going to want to up calories or drop calories, or even just stay where you are if you're happy with it. So now with calories are going to be divided into your macronutrients, which is your protein, your carbs, your carbohydrates and your fats. So 1 gram of protein is 4 calories, 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories, and 1 gram of fat is 9 calories. So a lot of times you're going to see people who struggle to put on weight have a lot of fattier foods just because there's more calories in them. And that's why you also have to be careful when it comes to being in a calorie deficit with what you're cooking with, because it's 1 teaspoon of olive oil, I believe, is around 114 calories. And if you're chucking a good bit of olive oil into, like, when you're cooking your pasta or when you're cooking chicken, mince, etc., that kind of stuff adds up, especially with, like, say, butter as well. Butter is quite calorie dense. Apologies. Say butter is quite calorie dense. So that's why you just have to be careful. Like, those little things just add up and add calories on, which is a good thing for when you're bulking, but obviously if you're cutting, not too good. So that's why you're going to see a lot of people do like 0 calorie sprays or like low fat butter. Like, those little things will make the difference. So basically when calculating your macros for those calories, you're going to probably want to start off with protein, which is the main one. So when it comes to protein, the research says go about 0.7 to 1.5 grams of protein per pound of body weight. So if you're going to want to put on muscle, you're going to want to go towards the latter end of that spectrum. And obviously if you're just trying to eat a bit healthier, and let's say for example if you might have digestive issues, you might want to go towards the other end of that spectrum. And if you don't want to put on weight or put on a lot of muscle mass, go to that side of the spectrum as well. So with that, so let's say we're going to calculate this out now. So 2,400 is your calorie intake. So let's just say 1.3 times 160, that's 208 grams of protein. You can times that by 4, so 832 of the calories of your calories are going to be going towards protein. So when it comes to fat now, the thing with fat is you do want to be a bit careful, because obviously when you're going into a calorie deficit, you're going to want to keep protein and fat would generally say around the same, and you're going to be cutting slowly from your carbs. That's because if you take off too much fat, that's going to have a massive impingement on just your general health and recovery. So that's why you want to keep fat somewhat high, you would say. So now I know I'm currently on a deload week waiting for gyms to open on Monday, and I cannot wait. So now for this deload week, I'm going to be on, say, my rest day calories. So on my rest day calories, my carbs are a bit lower and my fats go up, and that's just because I don't have as much as demand for the energy from the carbs, and I have more demand, say, for recovery, which I get more from the fats. So with that in mind, you're going to want to keep your fats. So obviously your fats might go up on your rest days, but say on your training days, throughout my entire cup, my fat stayed at 50 for the whole thing, and that's just because like some people go down to 40, and that's okay. Like I would say 40 is probably the minimum you want to go, because any bit lower than that, and you're probably putting your health at a bit of risk. And looking at that, let's just say you're at 50 fats, or 50 times 9 is 450 calories. So with that, so that means your protein and your fats are going to take up 1,282 of your calories. So with that in mind, your remaining calories are going to be coming from your carbs. You're going to take that number away from 2,400, and you're left with 1,118. So that's the amount of calories you have left. You're going to divide that by 4. You have about 280 grams of carbs left. So that's just a quick way of like actually finding out what your macronutrients and your calories would be. And so in my next few videos, I'm going to be going over just the bodybuilding basics and nutrition basics of what are carbs, what's protein, what's fats, when you want to eat them, what kind of proteins you want to get in, carb sources, etc. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.